Here we are, it's May, just finished the season. It's been a long, tough first year in the Football League, but we're glad we made it, and we're glad that we're now in a position of strength. A season of ups and downs. It's been a rollercoaster ride. It's been pretty exhausting because there was a lack of a break time at the end of last season, but now we're in a position of strength to build on. Winding the clock back to the end of last season, after Wembley, obviously a lot of emotion. The high was just incredible for the whole football club.
Comes the captain, Josh Falkingham. All the work and the effort and dedication has been worth it. Harrogate are going up. A Football League club.
But it was a frantic time for me. We had to look at players who were out of contract back then, of which there weren't too many. But then we were suddenly looking at how can we become a strong Football League team, and what would guide us to safety. We had an open top bus celebration on the Saturday after the Sunday down in London. So again, it was full of emotion around Harrogate. The celebrations just absolutely incredible in the town of Harrogate. It's something that we didn't really know what to expect, but completely blew us away. And with that, it does bring a lot of emotion. The families being reunited with the players and seeing the delight in everyone's faces just really made it sink in what we'd achieved. Our season began away at Tranmere in the Cup. A few nerves around the place, but we're still riding high in adrenaline. We finished the game victorious after a penalty shootout. Very dramatic for our first run out.
Chance here for the captain, Josh Falkingham, to win it for Harrogate and put them into round two. Scott Davies guessed right, but there was too much pace on the penalty. And the league new boys are into the hat for round two.
And then we had Grimsby in the Cup, where we lost in penalties. But again, the lads came off the pitch having tried everything in order to get a win. I was probably at my most nervous before the Southend game, because I thought, will the adrenaline run out? And we've only just begun. But it was an unbelievable performance from the players, and we came away from Southend on our first ever game in the Football League, winning the game 4-0.
Some more pressure here. Martin down, and they've got their first Football League goal. To the edge of the box, Kerry can hit it, and Kerry certainly does hit it.
We really didn't know what to expect from Southend. We knew they were a young team, and we knew that confidence was high with the players. We actually had a bit of an edgy start, but then once we'd scored the first goal, it was all one way, which is a fantastic achievement. And in the changing room after, there were great scenes, you know. And I remember John Stead standing up above everyone saying, you know, let's just see where this goes. You know, we don't get carried away, but what a strong start, and everyone should feel confident together. Next up, a massive game for us away at West Brom in the Cup, and it was live on Sky Sports. Again, another shot in the arm in terms of adrenaline for the players and for us all. Talking to Slaven Bilic on the touchline was a new experience, and just under the microscope of Sky Sports, again we're looking at a reaction from the players and what would they be like. And although we lost the game, we came away with a lot of credit, and even the whole procedure of the game, the presentation to the players about their players, the analysis of them, and then coming through the other side and then analysing the team's performance. It was a good thing for us to go through, and we came out of it with, like I say, a lot of plaudits. The whole experience of running out at West Brom was another milestone for the club. The West Brom game definitely capped off a frantic maiden first couple of weeks for the football club as a Football League team, and so many different experiences. Towards the end of September was the FA Trophy semi-final against Knox County, another good ground, another great pitch for us to play on, and bit of a funny game when it's a month after the playoff victory, so they had a point to prove, and we just wanted to continue the momentum going forward, and we did just that. It was a great 1-0 victory. It did wonders for the confidence, keeping a clean sheet, and it was certainly good to see a centre-back score. Into October now, and it saw us go to Valley Parade to play Bradford City in our first Yorkshire derby as a Football League team, and we came out victorious, winning 1-0 thanks to Lloyd Kerry in what was a special occasion.
And it comes, and that's the opening goal for Lloyd Kerry. Harrogate Town making their mark in the EFL once again.
The atmosphere in the changing room before the game was one of real unity, and we always tried to drill it home to the players, and the core group really get that derbies mean that bit more. It was regrettable again that we were without fans for our first Yorkshire derby, because they would have loved that game, but it reminded me of the Chesterfield away game, full of drama, and to come away and back up the steps to the changing room, the away changing room was a feeling of satisfaction without a doubt. We outfought them and came away victorious. Just 5 days later, we were back at the Environment Stadium, back to home comforts against Barrow, and we had our first league home victory against a tough Barrow team, and trying to probably make a point as well, as they were vying for top spot, and they pipped us to the post in the previous season in the National League. And just to be back on grass after an absence of a few years at home as well, it was great for the confidence to get a victory. We followed up the Barrow win with a Grimsby Town league fixture away from home with another good win. Spirits were high, confidence levels were really good. We went away to Colchester and dominated the game, but lost it, and that seemed to have a bruising effect on the squad. We didn't execute the finish for all the chances that we created, and defensively slipped up a couple of times, and it cost us the points, and it really did seem to bruise the group, and then we went on a bit of a losing spell. We then played Stevenage at home, and we didn't look as buoyant, as energetic as a group. Stevenage set up to make life hard for us. They were on a losing spell, but did it very well, and we weren't fluent. Then after that we went to Newport, and I think for the first time in 2 or 3 years we were on the ropes. First 25 minutes we backed off, there was too much space around, and we looked cagey.
Labadie threads it through, it's a great ball as well, centred, and Newport have the lead.
It just wasn't us, and we were under the cosh. We dug in after Josh Falkenham got sent off for 2 yellow cards, and in the second half actually we regrouped, and it was a spirited showing, only to lose it to a header from their centre-back in the dying seconds.
But up here, in comes the corner, and Newport have snatched a goal late on.
It had been a trying time, and there'd been a knock-on effect, unfortunately, on confidence levels. We played Tranmere at home following the Newport defeat, and they set up again, really respecting us and making it very hard for us to be fluent. And there was now a belief that a lot of football league clubs in the bottom half of the table respected us and put bodies behind the ball and broke fast, and we were learning all the time, but we had to learn from mistakes, and we lost the game 1-0. It was a tough game. I think early in the season teams were turning up thinking, little Harrogate Town, we can blow them away, they won't be as powerful or as strong or as quick as us, but now a period of the season where we'd earned that respect, and people were believing that, well, if we turn up and come away with a point, it's a respectable point. But with that, it was testing our patience, and at times we left ourselves open, and there was the odd blip, and we ended up coming away without points in these games. As we approached the winter months, dark nights, confidence levels not too high, adrenaline running out a little bit, and players having not had that break in the summer and things not running quite as smoothly, we were getting tested, and we weren't coming away with as many points in games as probably what we deserved, but the energy output wasn't quite the same. Skelmersdale in the FA Cup was a test. It was a real banana skin. We came through, and then we played Hull in the EFL Trophy, which was a tight game, but then that bit of quality came through for them. But inevitably, losing a game can have an effect. We were preparing for the game against Crawley at home, mid-November, and we'd done the team meetings on the 13th, the Friday before the game. And as I was going home, that's when my symptoms became so evident. No sense of smell or taste having my tea, and I suddenly realised that I've got a problem here. Rang Rachel, the physio, and it became apparent that I needed to go for a test, and the test quickly revealed that I had COVID, and so did the rest of my family. So the match day was a completely different experience for the first time in 11 and a half seasons. It was really tough, especially as I say, confidence levels weren't too great in the squad. But we got a point, you know, it was a really good ground out point where it was so evident that we weren't running on the high of earlier on in the season. For the 10 days that I had COVID, there were several spells in there where just there was pure exhaustion and wondering, would it go through the gears, and you know, would it be my wife or I or the kids that would really go under? And it was an awkward time. We couldn't go outside, we couldn't receive deliveries, we couldn't be anywhere near people, and it was not a good time in our household. But we count ourselves as lucky ones, because there were people really suffering out there, switching on the news, and so many deaths every day. And football for me is always there, but it took a back seat for a few days, and I'm lucky that the squad and the personnel at the club just drove it forward regardless of whether I was there or not. I missed it, but for a week we had to just pull through and get back on our feet ourselves. We played away at Leyton Orient in the second game where I was absent, and we lost the game 3-0, and in a game where largely we played some good football, but goals went in, well, they always go in at the wrong times, but at spells when we were on top, you know, in the first half. But in that period, we looked a little bit easy to play against. And it was difficult. It was difficult to manage at half time. Paul and I spoke, and we made a substitution which looks extremely harsh for a player that's been taken off when you're doing it from home, hundreds of miles away, and it's difficult. But we lost the game 3-0, and it was another knock to the senses of all of us. We followed that game though with Mansfield away, which it was then back to basics. This was about the squad being united after having a first dodgy period as a club, a first real test of our resolve, but we came through it, and it was a massive victory.
Muldoon wins the battle against McLaughlin. Muldoon with a cross, and there is Kelvin Miller to tuck the ball home from close range. And Harrogate Town take the lead, and it's no more than they deserve.
We ground out the win against a side that had seen a massive turnaround in events with Nigel Clough, and that had a lot of victories. We won the game 1-0 in a game that was, all the elements were against you. The weather, tough team, and we blocked shots, we cleared crosses, we did all those things you have to do as a footballer at any level if you want to keep a clean sheet. And the feeling in the changing room was massive relief, but it was back to valuing the scrap and snarl of big element of why we are a Football League club now after this journey. Coming on the back of the relief of the victory at Mansfield, stopping the rot, was 2 tough games, and certainly where we thought we bottomed out. Firstly against Blackpool, we conceded 4 goals, but we could put it down to superior opposition at that time, and League One opposition. And then we played Scunthorpe, and we conceded 5 goals at home for the first time in years.
Back
and it might work out for a fifth. It's going to be a fifth for Aaron Jarvis now, getting in on the act.
There was a feeling that we'd not felt in the changing room for a number of years. It was a really quiet place. There was a feeling of being really stretched, the squad being stretched, the lads not feeling good about themselves. It was a quiet place, and that's always difficult to turn around. We were looking at a month and a half from January, where the transfer window would open, and I pulled in some core players, the leaders of the group, and said, you know, we need to dig in now. We need to get to January, and we need to find a couple of wins. Witnessing the mood in the camp, it was probably, well, it was a worrying time for us as a coaching staff, because there was still a lot of games to go through before we could add to the ranks, and it needed freshening up. We looked like lads were on the floor energy-wise, and our identity is about getting on the front foot, pressing high, being full of energy and adrenaline, and the gaps looked massive in the team. We looked like we couldn't keep up to the demands of how we play, and that was a worry then, because we questioned the way we were going about it at the time of a crisis. Next up was Forest Green at home, but there's a different feel amongst the lads and within the stadium, because the fans were able to return. Coming out for the warm-up, they all got up on their feet, the fans, and they were clapping, every one of us, and you could see, even with the energy within the subs warming up, I spoke to one of the players and I said, it's different, it's a different vibe, isn't it? And he said, oh, too right, you know, this is what it's all about. It gives a warm feeling, and the lads put in such a good performance. We lost 1-0, but it was more about, yeah, we're lifted, the energy was back, and we felt that we realised why we were there. We were there for the fans. We took a lot from the ovation at the end, and he gave us strength and energy to attack the Exeter game. Really long journey, but at the end of it, saw a real fighting performance against not just Exeter, but 2,000 of their fans turning up. It was like a wall of fans behind their Kop goal, and it was. They were expecting victory, 100%. They were just expecting goals, because they'd been knocking in 4s and 5s in the game preceding our game against them. But we disappointed them, because we were up for it.
Harrogate Town flicked on. They might be into the area with a chance. They are, and they lead here. Clinical finish from Brendan Kiernan. It's a head up. That's a fine touch. He might be away here. Lovely finish too.
And we showed just why we're a Football League team now, because we come back from disappointments and get our own wins away from home. And we were determined, and we scored good goals that night, and it was a great vibe amongst the group on the way back home. We can reflect and look back now and go, wow, massive credit to the players. At a time when energy levels were low, some big players were out injured. We can look back on that as a true test of character that we passed, and it gave us real hope that we could build from strength then, because it's inevitable in football. You look at the league table, and we'd slipped from early season and found ourselves in a position where, hang on a minute, we're getting dragged into the bottom 8. Difficult time, but 3 points were massive points for us on that night. January was just around the corner, and with that was the transfer window opening, and we had quite a few players and deals lined up. But first and foremost, we had to finish off the calendar year well, and with that, 2 fixtures. Oldham away brought a great victory, where we lined up in a slightly different formation. We passed the ball really well, and 2 great goals from George Thompson brought us the 3 points.
It's going to fall for George Thompson! Strike comes in, and Thompson has his second.
And then the home game against Carlisle, which for the first time in so many months brought fans behind the dugouts, which was were great for the atmosphere. And within 45 seconds, we'd scored and we were in the lead 1-0 against a top of the table team in Carlisle, only for the game to be abandoned after 10 minutes, which was a real shame for everybody at the club. January had arrived, and with that the big freeze. We had a few games called off. Firstly the Cheltenham game, where they travelled all the way up only for the pitch to freeze over in the couple of hours before the game. But we had a new lease of life in the squad because of the new recruits. The likes of Josh March, Josh McPake, Simon Power and others had arrived, and it gave us a real edge in training, and there was a freshness about the team. We threw a lot of the new lads in to the game away at Cambridge, who were looking almost odds on from an early stage in the season as promotion contenders. They were very, very strong. So with the new changes, it was an interesting game for us. We started well. We went a goal up through Jack Muldoon after an assist from Josh March, and we were looking pretty good. But then they got to grips with us and the system we were playing at the time, and took control of the game. And I don't think there've been many games where we've just not been right in it. You know, it didn't feel that we were in control, and they ran out worthy winners late on in the game. They took the points, but it was an interesting time for us because we had these new recruits. They did okay in the first game in a system that was quite unfamiliar, but we'd taken forward from Oldham. But the next period was we were without the game because of postponements, but it allowed us 10 to 14 days to really concentrate on going back to our system, our way of playing, but with the new recruits. And you could see in training that there was a real energy, there was a real purpose, and we could really iron out and make clear exactly what we wanted from these new players, and it was looking good in training. Could witness the penny dropping for players, the roles they were understanding. They seemed clear about it. With that clarity brought real energy in training, and there was an edge back in training where we were floundering, where we were losing our way with our identity in November and December. We had a real purpose about us, and we thought we need games now. We need to put this into real practice and into the pressure cooker of games. And we had a belief that now we had someone on both wings who could beat players in Simon Power and Josh McPake, and up front we had a goal scorer in Josh March that would put pressure on Jack Muldoon and also give him a breather as well. So we had competition for places that we hadn't had in the spell leading up to Christmas. The Salford game away really saw the emergence of the new players integrated with the existing ones, and the existing lads like Josh Falkenham, Warren Burrell, were looking round and thinking we've got a new energy about us. We never had a result against Salford up to this point, and we were frustrated going into the last 10 minutes that we were in a losing position. But a last minute goal from Ed Francis really set the team on fire in the changing room, and we had a belief that these new lads mixed in with the older lads could get us on a really positive run. We'd then followed up with the defeat to Tranmere away from home, but it didn't feel like a defeat. It felt like, again, it was another step forward, a progression in terms of the performance. The dying moments and the last 10 minutes of the game away at Tranmere showed us a lot. You know, we were down to 10 men up against it, but we were on the front foot and finished stronger. The energy was back. Following the Tranmere game, at home to Newport. Now, going back again to the first game against Newport, we were up against it throughout that game, but this time round we came through victorious.
Not down, brilliantly finished, one apiece. March capitalising, in-swinger into the heart of the box, and that man Martin is there. He has been brilliant in the aerial battle so far.
We really got them on the back foot, we pressed aggressively, and we'd learnt our lesson. We were back, the belief was really emerging within the squad. We were better in terms of numbers in the squad. Will Smith had returned, which gave everybody a boost against Newport, and we took that game into the game away at Crawley, where we were phenomenal first half.
Space to create, and he's found Martin, and there's the first goal. Dusting himself down and scoring. So Harrogate one, still going power, and it's deflected into the back of the net. And it's 3-0.
3-0 at half time just showed us what we were capable of, and we felt that we could go on a run. The next 3 games brought about 2 defeats, narrow defeats. Cheltenham at home, where we really understood the value of being tight at the back. You know, they were very miserly in defence, but it was something where we came out of the game with respect and confidence intact. We beat Carlisle, which is a great victory at home against them, because they were a very tough team. And then we went to Scunthorpe and disappointed ourselves, you know, whilst playing well, and we had Josh Marsh in full flow at the time. Attacking force, we looked good, but we conceded a couple of disappointing goals in those few games that reminded us that we had to retain focus and concentration throughout. The next 3 games were Mansfield at home, followed by Grimsby at home, followed by Barrow away. And our aim as a management group was 7 points out of 9. That would really give us confidence that with the remaining games that we could start looking upwards. In actual fact, we pulled off tight wins, but 3 wins on the bounce. Nine points out of 9, and from that point we started dreaming again, thinking, actually, what could we achieve this season? We weren't getting carried away, but we were looking at the bottom 2 places now, and we were 15-16 points from that bottom grouping, which is exactly what we're keeping our eyes on, if we're honest, right from the first day of the season, where it got to 6 points. It was now 10 points more than that at 16 points, so it was a good, secure feeling. Also, we were 6 points off 7th place, so things were getting interesting. Next up was Colchester at home, and we thought they'd set up to be very difficult to beat, but from the first minute we looked really high on confidence. Mark Beck scoring in a 3-0 victory, which really set up the game at Forest Green to really be a game where we could judge just how far we've come. Unfortunately, on that day we fell flat and we fell short of a team that wasn't in the best condition. Forest Green weren't the team they were at the start of the season, but we failed to take that next step in that game, which was a disappointment at the time. The door was open for us. Being honest, we didn't go through that door. So Morecambe, followed by a defeat at home, which was a blow to us, Southend, who celebrated after the game, and you know, whereas in our changing room, we were disappointed. The following game was a test, Walsall away, great surroundings, good pitch, good ground again, against a team that weren't in full flow. But the first half, we were well short. We were not there, you know, energy-wise, we weren't there. We weren't earning the right, and it proved to be a disappointing first half. But second half saw us be able to call on Lloyd Kerry, who was returning from injury, and with a thunderous couple of tackles, he set up a more passionate display in that second half. And with that, saw us bounce back, you know, and we were a lot more clear about returning to our normal ways. Port Vale at home was then a tricky game. We weren't bad by any stretch, but Port Vale had won 5 or 6 on the bounce, and they were really on song, and they were hard to beat at the back. We were having a spell of conceding poor goals, which was the same in the following game at Bolton, where first half was as well as we played during the season.
Muldoon sends it in, and it's a good save by Gilts, but he can't keep it out a second time. Mark back on hand. And a crack here, and he's not too far away. Has it taken back off him by Isgrove, whose effort?
We were really on top, and knocking them back. We were on the front foot throughout the game, so it was quite astonishing to come away with nothing on that occasion. The key messages that came out from the Bolton game were really switch on, because we got on a run of conceding goals straight after half time, soft goals, and could we punish teams more readily. The next game was Leyton Orient, and it was a test of our character, and we really did pass that test, because again we conceded poor goals, but we were on the front foot, and the energy was the same as what we'd produce with 5,000 Harrogate Town fans behind us. It was incredible, you know, the spirit in the team, and we weren't going to be denied that night. And I really did think Josh McPake stood out for individual talent, but he matched his talent with his energy on this occasion, and you could see the rewards for that, both personally and for his teammates. Whilst we only got a point against Leyton Orient, it was a point on the road to safety, and we knew that the following game against Bradford City could be the game we confirmed Football League status for another year, and we'd be crawling along, but there'd be no finer game than a Yorkshire derby at home against Bradford City to do just that, and we did it. Saturday early afternoon kick-off, 12:30, brought about a great passionate performance and a game that had our identity stamped all over it. So we were delighted for the fans more than anyone that we could confirm dates against the likes of Bradford City again for next season, and it was great circumstances to do it. Spring had arrived and we were looking at the final point of the season, which was Cambridge United at home. They could earn promotion on that night, and to be honest, we wanted to deny them that moment on our ground. We had the FA Trophy firmly in our minds on the Monday, so with the evening kick-off on the Friday preceding the Monday's final, we had to go out with a different lineup against a very strong outfit. So we rested 8 members that were going to start the final of the FA Trophy, and gave others an opportunity, which they took in a dramatic 5-4 victory. Couldn't sleep much after it, 9-goal thriller, but we came out on top, which was great for the young lads and great for us as a club to finish on a victory at home. We then, less than 48 hours later, headed down the A1 on the road to Wembley for the second time in less than 12 months. It was great being back in the same hotel as we were in for the playoff final against Knox County, so familiar surroundings. We went through a very familiar training routine leading up to the small journey then to the hotel. Great to see the same personnel at the hotel who greeted us so warmly again. And then we woke up the day of the final, another big occasion for the club, and one that we were so determined to win for the fans back home. The day of the final dragged a bit because it was 5:30 kick-off, so everything got pushed later on in the day, apart from the time I woke up, which was normal time of 6 o'clock in the morning. And, so it's a long time to wait, but we made the small journey on the coach to Wembley, and it was again just as exhilarating setting up in the changing room. This time we're in the away changing room, brand new kit, the black kit, which was just looking stunning, and then walking onto the pitch, taking it all in again, taking in as much as possible, because you never know when you're back, or you might not be back, so you've just got to cherish every moment, which is something that I don't think we embraced the first half as we expected we would. Concord made life difficult for us. They were expertly organised, very hard to break down, but we didn't play with the energy, we didn't play on the front foot, and we didn't play with end product, which is something that we were looking to put the game to bed early, as you'd expect, being the higher, so-called higher placed team, but it wasn't going to plan. You know, we returned to the changing rooms, and probably the angriest I've been for many a year, because I thought we'd not turned up. It was an occasion where it was free view. You know, we expected a lot of fans at home to be willing us on, and there was a gathering in the middle of Harrogate, all on our side, and we were disappointing them. We just felt it. We weren't the side that they'd been accustomed to. We hadn't got the same traits of energy, and bite. But in the second half, especially after the changes were made, and the likes of Ryan Fallowfield came off the bench and made a big difference to the team, and we were back and we were on the front foot, and we felt that the winner was coming, and it was very fitting that the skipper Josh Falcon scored the winner from close range. It felt as special as if it was from 30 yards away, because it was the winner and we'd won the FA Trophy. The FA Trophy final and win capped off a good solid first season in the Football League. It's been hard, it's a real test of character at times, but we needed to stay up, and we needed to stay up for the fans to be able to enjoy Football League football with us, and so we can't wait for the reunion, and that will happen pre-season. We've got some great fixtures to look forward to, but to have the raw emotion of fans chanting the players' names and getting behind the players and being our 12th man again will be a relief, but also exhilarating as well, because we'll be back together, and that's what makes Harrogate Town Football Club. It's been a long hard season without everybody with us. We've known in the background everybody's been there, like a supportive arm around the shoulder throughout the season, but literally seeing people fill up the stadium will give us a massive drive and something to cherish and to look forward to next season. I'd just like to thank you, the fans, on behalf of all the players, all the management staff, all the coaches at the football club, and people on and off the pitch, for being there for us in the most difficult of circumstances this year. We're so aware that you've been without your sport, your sporting release, and your football club for so long. It must have been so hard, but we'll be back soon, and we can't thank you enough for being there for us, and we will see you soon.